What is up, my friends? Believe it or not, it is already time for our Inter Milan preview here on Anfield Agenda. The Reds travel over to Italy to take on Inter. It is an 8 p.m. kickoff on Tuesday night, which means that we'll be live from 6:45 p.m. for our watch-along. Now, with the whole Mohamed Salah situation, I didn't really know what to do regarding his availability for this game. So I've erred on the side of caution and I haven't included him in my squad. Truthfully, I don't know what's going to happen there. I don't know if he will or won't travel with the team or how the club are going to respond to the situation. So, as I've said, I've erred on the side of caution. But what we will do is go through, give you the latest injury update as we have it. We'll talk about Inter Milan's form and our recent history against them. I'll give you my predicted 11 and score prediction. And of course, I want to know your thoughts. So do let us know in the comment section. Don't forget to drop a like on the video. And I will be back here if you're watching this on Sunday at 8:30 tonight for a 2-hour stream to go through exactly what is happening with Mo and what we expect the situation to be resolved, or how we expect it to be resolved. So for now, folks, let's talk about injuries. Well, the good news is, as we've seen, Conor Bradley return to the starting 11. No surprise to see him taken off at 65 as he is coming back from injury, and of course Arna would have wanted him for this one. Now, the game got away from us after he did go off, and we can talk about that in more detail another time. But other than that, I don't think we have any real concerns. Frimpong isn't available, but is back on the grass now. Unless he has passed a late fitness test or something, maybe he will. But as I understand it, he's still not ready to go into the squad. And then, of course, we have Giovanni Leone, who's a long-term absentee. So that is pretty much the fitness side of things. Now let's have a little fact file on our opponents, Inter Milan, and then we'll look at their form. So Liverpool have won 4 of their last 6 games against Inter, who have been victorious in the other 2. Inter have won their last 4 home games or league stage games against English visitors, most recently beating Arsenal 1-0 on match day 4 last season. Liverpool have won their last 3 matches against Italian teams, beating Bologna 2-0 at Anfield on match day 2 last season. And the Reds have won 5 of their last 6 Champions League group stage or league phase games against Italian sides, having a 3-1 success, against Inter Milan on match day 1 in 2024-25. So that's a bit of a fact file on our opponents and our recent history against them and Italian sides. But let's have a look at our head-to-head and their own form coming into this one. So in Champions League 21-22 in the round of 16, Liverpool were beaten 1-0 by Inter at Anfield, but did turn the tie around, winning 2-0 over in Italy in the reverse fixture. Champions League 08-09, again the round of 16. It was Inter Milan 0, Liverpool 1 over at the Giuseppe Meazza, and then it was Liverpool 2, Inter Milan 0 at Anfield. Now, as you can see, their recent form coming into this one is a little bit sketchy. In Serie A, they had a comfortable 4-0 victory over Como. They had a 5-1 victory in the Coppa Italia over Venezia. Back to Serie A was Pisa 0, Inter Milan 2. In the Champions League, they were beaten at the home of Atletico Madrid by 2-1 at the Wanda Metropolitano. And back to Serie A, they were beaten 1-0 in the Milan derby against AC Milan. So as you can see, it's a little bit of a mixed bag there for our opponents. Some wins, some similar to our own, but actually probably a little bit better than our own form. Look, when the draw was made, this one was always going to be one of the more difficult fixtures. I can't decide whether this is a good time to go over to play them, because if we can win, it should instill some confidence, or if it's a terrible time to go and play them. Let me know where you think we're at in that regard in the comment section. Right, let's jump in to the starting 11 now. And as I mentioned, there's no Mohamed Salah in my squad because I don't know what's going on there and whether he will travel with the team or not. But let's go through it anyway. We'll start off with the goalkeeper and the centre-backs. There's no way that I can justify Canade starting another game, folks. He's just a calamity and a mistake after mistake and mistake. So for me, I would put Gomez in alongside Virgil van Dijk in the centre-back positions. Yes, maybe Bradley can't do the full 90 again, but I would rather see somebody like Jones or Szoboszlai drop back into the right-back position if needs be, because we cannot keep rewarding Canade for those abject performances. So Alisson in goal, Van Dijk and Gomez. And by the way, I'm aware Van Dijk hasn't been good enough either, but it is a numbers game at the end of the day, and we don't simply have the bodies to replace both of them. So that's the centre-back and the keepers. Now let's look at the full-back positions. So for me, Kirkes on the left and Bradley on the right. Simple answer is because of the energy levels. And I do think Milos Kerkez has started to show a little bit more form over the recent weeks. And Connor Bradley, of course, as well, is just full of energy, which I think we're going to need. Inter may sit deep. They may look to soak up and play on the counter. And I do think these guys in wide positions have a better delivery than we've seen recently. And those check back crosses that we've been getting time and time again have really frustrated me. So that's why I've gone with Bradley and Kerkez. And then I'd like Andy Robertson probably to come back in for the game against Brighton. So that's the back five: Alisson, Bradley, Gomez, Van Dijk and Milos Kerkez. Now into midfield. And yes, I have finally put in Wataru Endo into midfield alongside Curtis Jones because we need that bite. One thing we have been lacking in midfield is bite. And this game probably won't be the high-intensity, high-paced games we see in the Premier League. And I think it might suit Endo a little bit more. He came on and look, he showed straight away that he is going to get stuck into people in the middle of the park. He lacks in some areas, but he is very consistent in others. And he is going to put a shift in. And of course, he's going to want to play because he wants to get into the Japan World Cup squad and remind the manager that he can get game time. So for me, we have to keep changing these things. Can't reward failing performances, and Ryan Gravenberch has escaped a lot of criticism this season. But like I said, there's enough blame to go around to everybody. But I do think in this one, I would put Endo in alongside Curtis Jones. And I think Curtis Jones deserves a bit of credit for the effort that he's been putting in recent weeks. You know, whether you like him or you don't like him, he hasn't hit out there on the pitch and he has really put a shift in. So that's my deeper lying midfielders. Now let's look ahead of them. We've got Dominik Szoboszlai playing in the pocket there behind the striker. It could easily be Florian Wirtz in there and put Dom on the right. I'd have no issues with that either. But that is my midfield trio. Now we'll move into the wide attacking areas. I've gone for Florian Wirtz on the right-hand side and Hugo Ekitike on the left-hand side. You know, we could go through this list and talk about players who haven't performed, and Cody Gakpo really hasn't been at it for the last few weeks. You can't just keep rewarding failure all the time, and that's what this manager's been doing. So for me, give Hugo Ekitike a run on the left, give Florian Wirtz the run on the right or in the pocket behind the striker. But either way, Gakpo has to be benched for this one, in my opinion. And that just leaves me to talk about the striker, which of course is Alexander Isak. Now, I'm not saying that he's been tearing up any trees, but I do want to finally see Ekitike and Isak on the pitch together to see if they can start to forge this relationship that, let's be honest, we're going to need to see moving forward. So once again, ladies and gents, my 11 is Alisson Becker in goal, Bradley at right back, Kerkez at left back, centre-back pairing of Joe Gomez and Virgil van Dijk. In midfield, I'd go for Wataru Endo, Curtis Jones and Dominik Szoboszlai. Wide positions, Hugo Ekitike on the left, Wirtz on the right and Isak through the middle. But I've got to say, I'd also be open to us playing with a front two and a number 10 in behind as well. Let's see what Arna does. But either way, for me, you got to get Ekitike and Wirtz and Isak all on the pitch together because that is the future of the club. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's the team done. The preview is pretty much over, other than one important fact. Let's talk about the score. I don't think we go over there and win this game. I don't. But funnily enough, I don't think we lose the game either. So for me, I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw in this one. I went 2-2 against Leeds. It ended up being 3-3. And look, a point away from home against Inter Milan wouldn't be the worst thing in the world in the Champions League. But it also probably really limits our ability to get into that top 8, which I don't really expect us to do at this point. So that is where I'm at, ladies and gents. A reminder that we will be live for the game from 6:45 p.m. Of course, I want us to win, but I got to be realistic as well about what we're seeing. And nothing is pointing to a Liverpool victory. And again, this is before we get into the infighting in the camp. And I do think things are going to get a little bit worse, perhaps, before they get better. So, look, that's where we're at for now. It's over to you guys now to let us know your thoughts. Do you agree with the starting 11? Do you think the manager should tinker with the formation? Or, to go even a step further, do you think the manager is going to be in charge for them going over on Tuesday? We'd heard some talk that there was emergency meetings behind the scenes at the club today. We haven't yet got any information on if that happened or how it went, but I hope to have some more on that for the late night agenda tonight at 8:30. I'll see you then. Have a lovely evening and thank you for your support as always. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.